Welcome to Stars Launch Pod, where we chat with innovators who are overcoming challenges, pushing boundaries, and collaborating to make space more accessible and sustainable for humanity, one launch at a time.
It's one small step for man.
Here's your host, Susan Wise.
I'm a little starstruck sitting here with this amazing person. You guys are so lucky today to get to enjoy the presence of such an amazing astronaut, NASA astronaut, first mom astronaut, Time Magazine 1975 Person of the Year, and all-around inspiration to women and just everyone in general. Please welcome Anna Fisher.
Thank you, Susan, for that nice introduction. I appreciate it.
Well, I am thrilled to have you here. And I had to show you this really quick. My late husband, when you were going to space, he was working as a tour guide at Johnson Space Center. And he went to space camp. This is where the jacket came from. So I quickly pulled it out and I started looking at all the patches, trying to see, because I love the patch from your mission, from the STS-51A, right? And didn't you design that?
I helped the pilot, Dave Walker, and we were the two rookies on board. And so our commander let us take the lead in coming up with the idea. And so, there was the two satellites in the middle that represent the two that we were going to deploy. And then for the first time in history, there were two satellites in orbit that were in the wrong orbit because the rocket that was supposed to take them to a higher orbit failed. And so we were going to go to bring them back. And then we had 5 stars for the crew members. And since I was helping design the patch, I added a star for my daughter, Kristen, since I was the first mom to go in space.
And I love that. I love that about it. So I looked at, it's not on here. I was really hoping it was, but that would have been just so poetic.
Sure. I'm sure we could find one for you sometime.
That would be great. You were talking about the mission and how you deployed a couple of satellites, and then you had to, you didn't just go out there and lasso them. You had to plan for that. There was a lot of planning involved and create something to go and rescue these back onto the ship.
Well, it was really a neat mission to be a part of because no one had ever done that before. And I love having the opportunity to work on something and do something that no one has done before. And these two satellites were not designed to be retrieved by the robotic arm on the shuttle. If you're going to use a robotic arm, it needs to have a grapple fixture that was designed to work with the arm on whatever it is you're trying to retrieve. And obviously, these two satellites were not designed with that attached. So, what was really fun was we were part of the development effort to figure out how we were going to do that. In fact, my crewmate Dale Gardner actually came up with the idea of attaching a device called a stinger. It's our nickname for it. When to the front of the manned maneuvering unit or to the side of the manned maneuvering unit, and then use that stinger to dock with the nozzle end of the satellite. And then on one side, on the right side, it would have a grapple fixture. And so that was and just being part of developing the hardware, developing the procedures and so forth. And it was in a very short period of time. The satellites were deployed from an earlier shuttle mission in February of 1984, and we flew in November of 1984, which is a really short period of time to develop hardware, procedures, training, and everything.
Wow.
And so that whole process was just so much fun.
Now you were there.
You
were in space almost 8 days.
8 days. We deorbited on the morning of the 9th day.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Well, shuttle missions are a lot shorter than current space station missions. The longest the shuttle could stay on orbit was around 2 weeks. So the shuttle program was very, very different than the current space station program, where people are staying up 6 months and a year or more. So the programs are very different.
When you went up, how old was your daughter?
She was 14 months.
Oh my goodness.
She was baby, I was assigned to my flight 2 weeks before I delivered Kristen, which I'll have to admit I was very surprised when my boss called me in and said he was going to wants to assign me to a mission. And how did I feel about that? I was very surprised, but I was not about to say no. I mean, this had been my dream ever
Hmm.
since I was a child, and I was very fortunate to be in the first group of women. So there was no way I was going to say no. And so I was a new mom and training for my first space mission all at the same time. So I won't say that it wasn't that it was easy. It was definitely challenging. However, I was doing the two things I love most at the same time. So, how many people are fortunate enough to have all the that um, wonderful kind of things all come together. So you just figure out what you got to do and make it work.
And I imagine your daughter is so immensely proud of you.
Oh, I'm sure she is, but it's in fact, she now covers space for CNN and also has her own podcast and follows space. So I think it's kind of neat that we get to share that. Mhm.
That's awesome. I love that. What's the name of her podcast?
It's the Endless Void with Kristen Fisher on YouTube, and so it's been really fun. I've been trying to get her to agree. I want to do a mother-daughter trip on Blue Origins,
Oh, you
New
should.
Shepard. So I'm working on her in my contacts at Blue Origin. So we'll see what happens.
Oh, I think that would be
But she's very,
fantastic.
she goes, "But Mom, I have young children," and I go, "Yeah, and your point
And
is,
and
yes." So.
so you started off with, I mean, going clear back to your education. You're working in an emergency room. You're a doctor. That's kind of how things started for you.
Well, when I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I started out at UCLA in math, uh, moved over to chemistry, and then as I had always wanted to be an astronaut, but it didn't look like that was going to happen. So I had to sit down and come up with more realistic career goals. And I thought, I think I'll use my background to go into medicine, combine my love of math and science with working with people. And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, maybe I won't get to be an astronaut, but maybe someday I'll be a doctor on a space station or something like that. And so I was just finishing my medical training when one of my medical school friends, Dr. Mark Mizakowski, we were just having a quick lunch, and he had seen NASA was looking for astronauts, not only pilot astronauts, but mission specialists for this then new space shuttle program. And I looked over the requirements, and it was like a month before the deadline. And I was able to, get all that together because back in those days, you didn't just go online and upload stuff.
Right.
You had to get a physical application and send everything in by mail and all of that. So I got it in a day before the deadline. 6 weeks later, I was in Houston interviewing for the job I'd always dreamed about. And then 6 months later, found out I was in the first class of astronauts selected specifically for the space shuttle program, and in the first time that NASA had accepted women into the program.
Anna, it's like a dream come true, and it's like everything you did put you in the perfect position for this to happen.
It was just being in the right place
Mm.
at the right time with a chance conversation. I always think about what if I hadn't gone to lunch that day? What
Right.
if, you know, it's both it's neat, but it's also kind of scary to have your life turn on such chance events.
Hmm.
However, I was very fortunate because I'd wanted to be an astronaut since I was 12 years old when I listened to Alan Shepard, the first American, launch on his suborbital mission in May of 1961.
Wow.
And but of course, a lot of kids want to be astronauts. A lot of
Sure.
kids want to do a lot of things. So, it didn't seem like a very realistic goal, and particularly for women. But I never totally lost sight of that was what I really wanted to do, and feel so grateful that um, that it all worked out.
Well, I'd like to know if you're doing anything currently, right now, with the space industry.
Yeah, I retired from
Hmm.
NASA in April of 2017. I was wondering what I was going to do, but I never really had to figure it out because it just seems like things just kind of come out of nowhere. I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of wanting to encourage young folks, particularly young women, to pursue careers in STEM fields. So I speak at Space Center Houston a couple times a year, at the Kennedy Space Center. I've done a lot of speaking for the State Department and just various things like that that come up. I'm on the board of advisors of a company called KMI, which is looking to solve the problem with all the debris, space debris.
Mm.
We had our first satellite in October of 1957, Sputnik. And now, if you go online and look at some of the depictions of the satellites and all
Hmm.
the debris that's up there, it's like the Earth is surrounded by this cloud of debris of satellites that are functioning, satellites that are no longer functioning. And
I
so it's a
remember
huge problem.
I remember when Skylab was supposed to come barreling back to Earth, and everybody was like, "Oh, the sky's falling," and everybody was concerned and not sure where it was going to land. And I remember I was in high school when that happened.
Yes, it's a big thing to worry about. And so, actually, I was speaking at Kennedy Space Center, and this young man came up to me, and he was getting ready to leave on his honeymoon. And I'm going, "Aren't you supposed to be doing something else on your honeymoon besides coming to listen to a talk at the KOC Visitor Center?" But they were just out of college, starting this company to tackle the problem of space debris, and he said, could he give me a call when he got back, and asked me to be on their board of advisors. So it's a problem that I feel very strongly and passionately about. And so if there's something I can do to help, so I do all kinds of things like that. And plus I have 5 grandchildren now. So between doing all these things and getting to spend time with my family, and try to make sure that they're inspired by space as
Hmm.
well. It takes up. I feel like I'm as busy as I ever was when I was working full time, but just doing things that I want to do and that I choose to do.
I love that you're doing that because we talk about not leaving a footprint or a footprint here on Earth, but we're leaving footprints in space as well.
Yeah, we want to be a responsible partner taking care of space and make sure that we do it responsibly. And we really haven't done that in the past. So now we're at least beginning to take the steps to tackle that.
Anna, did you have an aha moment at some point in your career where you just went, "Oh, this is it," voila.
Well, I mean, I would say my first aha moment was when I was 12, when I decided I wanted to be an astronaut. I mean, just, the career of astronaut did not even exist when I was growing up. It was just science fiction. And so here come the Mercury 7. So that, just the realization that, hey, we are now going to be tackling going into space and wanting to do that. Another aha moment was the night the selection was announced,
Hmm.
and I was selected. My husband then was not. He was selected in the next group of astronauts, in the 80 class, 1980 class. But he very graciously took Judy Resnick and I out to dinner that night, after we had been doing, interviews and everything all day long. And then after we had dinner and we were dropping Judy off at her condo, and she lived right on Redondo Beach overlooking the ocean. And I'll never forget standing on the balcony with her, looking out at the ocean and the stars and going, is this real? Did this really just happen that we just got announced to be astronauts? It was just such a surreal moment. And there are lots of moments like that that I've been very privileged to have, but I've never forgotten that moment with Judy, particularly, she died in the Challenger accident. So I always go by there every time I'm in Los Angeles and remember that.
Do you have a piece of advice that you would like to share before we wrap up with our listeners?
Well, it depends who you're giving advice to, but to young folks, I would just really encourage them to dream big. Don't be afraid of having a big idea of what you want to do because you may think that you're not capable of it, but a lot of very successful people um, uh, they just believed in themselves and kept trying. And there's going to be failures along the way. Everybody experiences failures. And I didn't get into medical school the first time that I applied because I applied so very late. And so there's, when you try to summarize a lifetime or a career lifetime, it makes everything look like everything just fell into place. And I guess the thing I would say is follow your dreams and don't give up. If there's a setback, if things don't go your way, for example, if somebody wants to be an astronaut and they did get disqualified because they have a medical problem they didn't know, there's so many more new ways now to
Hmm.
become an astronaut. And that's just an example in the field that I know. But in any field, just believe in yourself and don't give up. Don't accept that you can't do it
What is it?
because
They
there's
say
often
if you don't ask, the answer is always no. So,
exactly. And so I had no reason at 12 when women weren't even allowed to do the kinds of things that I was dreaming about. I had no um, role model at that time
hmm
to show the way that women could do these things, but I didn't accept that that was going to always be the answer. And so just continue to live your life and follow your dreams.
and you are truly a role model to many and an inspiration to many, many women as well. Anna, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. Really do appreciate you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review and subscribe. And until next time, keep looking up. Thanks again, Anna Fisher, NASA astronaut.
Thanks, Susan. Bye bye.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on social media. Stars Launch Pod, propelling us forward, one launch at a time.